Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of November 11, 2018. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. What an amazing week it is, and it truly is. The trend of big astrological events taking place is continuing into this week with planets changing directions, changing signs, and the changing of the nodes. And that's actually where it is that I want to start. Now, we have this week the changing of the nodes of the moon. Now, these are considered sort of the most southerly point and the most northerly point that the moon will travel. Every planet has nodes to it. It's just that the nodes of the moon are those that we use more than we might other planets. And they represent a karmic journey, a wiser, more loving plan that does play out. And they represent the higher soul-oriented intention of the moon in this case. But as I said, all of the planets have their own nodes. They have markers, if you will, that represent the most southerly point they're going to travel and the most northerly point. Now, this point will change signs about every year and a half or so, and it is going to be this week that we have the North Node leaving the sign of Leo and entering the sign of Cancer, because they are always going retrograde, but entering the sign of Cancer for a nice long stay until June 2020. Now, I think that this is something that is going to define 2019 for a whole lot of people. So that I'll be talking a lot more about in the weeks and months ahead, and particularly in the 2019 forecast. So be on the lookout for that. That's coming in December, which really is right around the corner. But it's worth mentioning now. Now, the thing is that because these are essentially hypothetical points, they can be calculated a little differently and with slight changes to them. And because of these slight changes, for some calculation methods, the nodes changed signs late last week. And for others, it is happening on the 15th of the month, which is this Thursday. So it is a powerful time, and wherever the nodes go, it represents a collective need that we have to understand our soul purpose in a new way, as represented in the sign that the North Node enters, and to understand where it is that we are ready to close karmic ties and end karmic chapters so that we can embrace the new and the next and the exciting that is up ahead. The kind of closures that ultimately we can feel grateful for, well, this is represented by the South Node. And the South Node is moving into the sign of Capricorn. Now, it is the sign of Capricorn that has to do with a few things. I think of social structures. I think of power as well. And we really are on the precipice of very big changes in our understanding of power and where power belongs and how it is that we define it. Now, that is something that I'm really going to be talking about in the period ahead. We've got some big moments coming up in 2019 with Pluto meeting the South Node of the moon. And we also have in 2020 really big celestial events taking place in the sky, which include Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto in what is being hailed as the triple conjunction. Well, the South Node of Saturn and the South Node of Pluto are intimately involved in this as well. So it does represent a time when we are on the precipice of knowing that we are wanting something different and we are needing something different going forward. But as I said, there's so much to delve in there. It is like a whole video or 2 videos or 5 videos all of their own. And we will get there as we go along. But for now, pay attention for right now, because this is the beginning. This is the beginning of a very big 2019 and a very, very big 2020 coming up ahead. This is where the indications are subtle in some ways, and they are pointing the way. They're nudging us forward on a level of soul as we move away from an understanding of power and instead move towards a renewed understanding of care, particularly soul care, and how it is that we can provide care to each other and what it means to empower each other with a healthy form of caring. This is a sign that also has to do with the sign of Cancer, also has to do with understanding nationality and your nationality, your roots, your ancestry differently than you did before. Now, as I have been speaking about, I made 2 videos this last week on Jupiter moving into the sign of Sagittarius. I felt so inspired after making the first video that I just got on Facebook Live and spoke for like an hour and a half, even more. And even after I was done, I felt like the next day, you know, I could make another Facebook Live right now and talk for 2 hours, because it is very inspiring. And it just felt like there was so much more to say, so much more to delve into with the symbolism. But essentially, with Jupiter moving into the sign of Sagittarius last week, we are at the beginning of a cycle that's going to take us right into December of 2019. And it is during this time that we will be understanding our place in the world and ourselves as world citizens more expansively than we have before, as well as a whole lot of other stuff. Again, I spoke about it, 2 videos so far. But with the North Node moving into the sign of Cancer, I feel like this is going to provide that balancing point where we are redefining what it means to be a patriot, what it means to be of our nationality, what it means to be of our ancestry, what it means to be a caregiver in terms of a maternal or a paternal figure, and what it means to truly be part of a village and raising a village at that, and to understand that the village really is our planet. It is the world, and to more fully understand our interconnection to everyone and everything. I think this is part of the power, the soul power, when we come to understand the whole world as home. And we are on the precipice of this big shift in not only our consciousness, but really in our soul drive and our soul understanding. The thing with the nodes is that they operate on a level of soul. They have to do with the things that we promised ourselves we would do before we incarnated, before we came into these bodies. There were certain intentions that we set for this lifetime. Now, the planets do represent what we want and why we want it and how we go about getting it. And so we use these energies to help us along our way. But it is the nodes that speak to the higher spiritual intention, the promises that the soul made on how it was going to use the energy of a given planet. And it is the nodes of the moon that we use more than any other nodal activity in modern astrology, certainly. But it is a very strong indicator, the moon is, of home and of comfort. It is a strong indicator of what we need to be at peace with ourselves and what we need to feel a sense of equilibrium within us, emotion and spirit. And I think that that is one of the most acute lessons that we are here to understand as human beings. It is part of the human experience. It is part of how it is that we grow through this human experience. And I think that's why we use the nodes of the moon more than we might of other planets. In 2019, the eclipses will begin right involving the nodes. That's part of what the nodes do, is that they get intimately involved in solar and lunar eclipses. And that's when the learning and the awareness of where it is our soul desires to go and desires to experience, well, the awareness is going to be accelerated that much more. So right now it's subtle. Pay attention and just know that very soon, right around the corner, things are going to accelerate very quickly in our spiritual learning, in our spiritual growth, and our spiritual grounding as well. If the energy of Cancer is anything, it is grounding. It is understanding what the foundations require, understanding what we need to feel solid and strong right where we are, and to understand what needs to happen now so that we can grow forward from here, bringing love and wisdom that much more, living it that much more in every area of our lives. Now, bigger changes are coming as well this week. That's just the first thing, because there's so much happening now. And one of the big things that I have really been looking forward to, that I am really excited about, is Mars finally leaving the sign of Aquarius. Now, normally, under normal circumstances, this hasn't been a very normal year, astrologically speaking, but under normal circumstances, Mars will spend about 7 weeks in a given sign and will visit once every 2 years or so, a little bit less. But what's been different this year is that for months now, since May, Mars has been basically hanging out in the sign of Aquarius. Did dip out just for a little bit back in the summer, but effectively in this one part of the sky, air sign Aquarius, a part of the sky that has to do with the collective, that has to do with our humanitarian efforts and urges. Where it comes to Mars, wherever Mars goes, there's a sense of some urgency that can transpire. Now, Aquarius energy is fascinating to me. It's very interesting to me. And it's interesting because we like to think about the age of Aquarius, right? We think about it as this time of all of humanity holding hands and running through grass and singing. And we can do that. Why not? We can do that right now. We might be in the age of Aquarius right now. They say there's like this little bit of a period between one age and the next. And a lot of people have theorized that we are now in that in-between stage. We're transitioning from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And so, yes, if as part of this, you feel like running through grass, holding hands with people, have at it and enjoy it. Enjoy every moment of it, because I think it's part of a life well lived. However, my understanding of the age of Aquarius has been very influenced by an essay written by Carl Jung called Eon. And in this essay, he talks about the strong duality, the dualistic nature of the sign of Aquarius, and how even the sign of Pisces had that and has that dualistic nature as well. And you can see it in the symbolism where the sign of Pisces, the glyph, has a certain mirror quality to it. Well, so does the sign of Aquarius. It's two waves, and they are essentially mirrors of each other. And so this is a sign that, on the one hand, has to do with the New Age movement. It has to do with honoring your inner authority above and beyond anything else that anyone else might say. And it's also very individualistic. It's very much about going your own way. As they say, the cliche is marching to the beat of your own drum. But it is also a sign that is about the collective. It is hyper scientific. It is about the divorce of matter and spirit, what's called the Cartesian split, which is I think, therefore I am. So if you think, therefore you are, then the body is not really connected to who you are. And it's not a very integrated way of living and understanding life. And in some ways, this can be a good thing, right? Because we are able to recognize potential within ourselves beyond any kind of physical abilities or lack of ability that we feel may be there, whether temporary or something that is a part of our human experience in this lifetime. But at the same time, what that means is stuff is just stuff, right? We can do anything we want to it, which is part of how we are where we are right now, where it becomes that much harder to recognize the sacred in each other and in everyone, and in everything, and in the cosmos as well. And so as I look at this last few months of this heightened, almost urgent Aquarian energy that has been in the air, as much as it is one where we've wanted to connect with more people than ever, and a lot of people have been meeting new people and been very enthusiastic about it, at the same time, there's a sense of some detachment as well, as the sign can be. And I feel, as I look at this, that we've gotten just a little bit of a taste of all it is that is possible when we look forward and we get into the next decade and Pluto moves into the sign of Aquarius, and that becomes a major turning point for us and a major marker of how it is that we are going to understand the age of Aquarius at that. This energy over the last few months was easier for some signs than it was for others. Air signs had a little bit of a better go at it, but then we had, remember back in July, in late July, we had that eclipse that was activating Mars as well, happening hand in hand with Mars and speaking with Uranus. That was a doozy for a lot of people, and yet here we are. We are nearing the end. On the same day that the nodes change signs, so will Mars. And this is going to represent an important turning point for a few reasons. One is because of what's over. Another is going forward from here. We are going to be able to start to contemplate what it was that this larger Mars in Aquarius extended, super extended season was meant to show us, was meant to help us to glimpse about what could be coming up ahead for us as a collective in our own individual journeys, and where it is that we want to take this energy, because ultimately we participate in the unfolding of the universe. Now, I'll give you an example. I recently learned it, I think it might have went viral. I know a lot of my friends were sharing it, an article about social ratings. There's a particular government that has these things called social ratings, where they are monitoring what it is that you're buying, every little thing you're buying, and what your habits are. And based on that, it gives you a certain rating. And if you have a higher rating, your kids can go to a better school. It's a lot easier to travel. And there are a whole bunch of other perks that are part of all the little things that you do as you move about your day, and the monitoring that takes place of that. A lot of people I know were kind of freaked out by this, thought it was scary, and that can be, but this is one way that we were getting a little bit of a foreshadowing. Do we want the energy to go in this direction or not? And there was the other way that we saw this energy go, which was looking at social media and where it is that there are healthy limitations that we need to have in place, or where it is that more of us want to experience more privacy or more transparency. That is also part of the Aquarian energy that is going to be heightened for us as we move a little bit further down the road and into the next decade, especially with Pluto moving into Aquarius. So we got little bits of foreshadowing here. And now this is a time when we start to get a breather. But before that breather comes, just before Mars changes signs, Mars will reach out and speak in harmony with Uranus. I do believe this is going to be a reward moment for most of us, a reward that we have well earned as a result of focusing in and giving our energy and giving our all, and feeling even like we were giving too much of our energy, or fighting for something, or trying to make something happen in at least one area of life. That is part of what Mars can represent. And so all of us have been in an extended cycle of having to pay too much attention, really, and feeling a lack of balance as a result. And in some cases, very quickly, very surprisingly, needing to pay attention to one area of life. Well, now, here comes the reward. The work you did was not in vain, and the payoffs will come. And then Mars changes signs. And what felt so urgent, what felt so much like you had to keep pushing and keep fighting to make something happen, you had to take another risk, you had to summon your bravery, that very area is going to calm right down. And this is going to be very welcome. Now, it is going to be Mars that moves into the sign of Pisces, and this is important for a few reasons. One is that the sign of Pisces has to do with compassion. It has to do with understanding the collective more completely and understanding yourself as part of everyone and everything. So there's this theme that is continuing to be carried out, that is accelerating now since last week and into this week as well. It is the sign of Pisces that is co-ruler of Jupiter. And so Jupiter is in its home sign now, one of its home sign. It's also traditional ruler of the sign of Pisces. And while Mars moves through this part of the sky right through New Year's Eve, it is going to reach out and connect with Jupiter. It's going to be meeting Neptune in the sky. So there's going to be this heightened sense as we move forward in the weeks ahead of a almost dreamy energy, almost a magical energy, but it's not grounded. See, here's the thing. The North Node energy is saying, understand groundedness differently. Plant yourself, know yourself as strong, as right where you are, and accept yourself completely, because self-acceptance is one of the most powerful ways to truly be at home in the world. It starts by being at home in your body. That is part of the sacred lesson of the North Node in the sign of Cancer. But here comes Mars moving into Pisces. It's an energy that is very much about intuition and emotion and psychic flashes. And Mars, over the coming weeks, will meet Neptune here, amplifying this energy that much more. So it's important to pay attention, but know this is dreamy. It is about getting us in touch with our faith, in touch with our dreams, and in touch with our higher, more compassionate nature. It is going to be right at the beginning of 2019 that Mars is going to come home in its own right into the sign of Aries. And it really is going to feel like a brand new day for us once we start 2019. There's so much going on, but most of us are going to feel it right out of the gate. We're going to understand that with Mars moving through Pisces, it's very much about closing karmic ties and ending karmic chapters and knowing what it is that has served its karmic purpose in our lives and being grateful for it, loving it and letting it go with that love, knowing that whatever it is that is leaving our lives now has served its purpose and has made us better, but we no longer need it. But the key is, and within that release, is that understanding that we're actually moving towards this bright, bold, fun, exciting beginning coming up very soon, just a few weeks down the road as we start a new year. And that is going to be Mars in Aries, and where it is that you are ready to be enthusiastic about your life, where it is that you're ready to feel empowered and feel an adrenaline rush, really, to feel so alive, to feel so happy. Well, it is going to be the universe, one at a time, that is building the energy to help us move in that direction. It is at the very end of the week that Mercury will go retro. Here we are. Mercury retrograde happens again, and Mercury is going to go retro in the part of the sky that Jupiter recently entered, the sign of Sagittarius. And I think that this is going to help us a lot in a few ways. One is, with Jupiter entering its home sign, this is all about opportunities and recognizing opportunities and realizing that the universe is abundant in opportunities for us. Well, here comes Mercury, allowing us to have opportunities come back around. Now, it's going to be different for everybody depending on their sign, where those opportunities are going to pop up. But in some way, we will be re-welcoming and getting another chance and getting another crack at moving ourselves in a direction that we desire to go. And so opportunities can come back around. They always do. I do believe the universe is abundant. There's always more opportunities, but the same opportunity doesn't always come back around. What happens most often is that something even better, something that you didn't even imagine but turned out to be even greater, well, that's the kind of stuff that comes around. But having said that, yes, an opportunity you thought was gone, you thought was lost, could come back around at this time. That person you thought was gone could come back around at this time. And this can be a powerful moment of connecting our blessings to our thought processes, our mind, and our conversations. This is an appreciation of how it is that our words can speak volumes to our state of spirit. And I do believe that it's not about working on a superficial level or telling yourself something that isn't true and knowing that it isn't true. But there's an integrated way in which to live where you choose to focus on how good things are in your life, because there's always something to be grateful for. There's always something good that you can focus on. And by choosing to focus on all the potential that we have, all the great things that are possible, and all the ways in which life has gone right, all the ways in which the human experience truly is limitless in a way that we just don't give ourselves credit for. Well, that willingness, just the willingness to be willing to see it, can take us leaps forward in the direction of living it and of being it. That is part of the sign of Sagittarius. That's the attitude it likes to take. That's the energy it likes to take. And where it is that you can look within and heal something within that gets in the way of absolute optimism, well, it is going to be Mercury retrograde season now that helps you along in that process. Again, it is Mercury retrograde, so I do have to give you the disclaimer. As part of this Mercury retrograde, Mercury is going to kind of be dancing with Neptune as well, which means that it's going to feel particularly wonky at particular times. We're going to feel like it's a heightened Mercury retrograde season at certain moments. At the same time, just in general, you know, the Mercury retrograde stuff is not a good time to buy electronics, not a good time for large purchases or anything with moving parts. That's where you want to be a little bit careful with anything new in that regard, but it is really great for anything with a so repairs, re-edit, renovate, right? All of these things where you're going over old ground again. Well, those are particularly blessed under this sky. It is going to be Mercury retrograde for about 3 weeks or so. And once we get into December is when Mercury will go direct and will leave shadow and will completely be over about a week before Christmas. So there's lots of time yet to do your shopping. And I hope that you love this moment and strive to stay in this moment. But this particular Mercury retrograde can be good for getting another chance at purchasing something that you thought that chance was gone. You thought that it was over. You came, you wanted something, you went to the car to get your credit card, you came back and it was gone. Well, this Mercury retrograde season can have you just stumbling upon it in a way that shocks you and surprises you and delights you, has you feeling truly lucky with what it is that has come into view. That could be a possession, that could be a purchase, that could be a person, that could be an understanding of what it is that you truly value in life and what it is that your true priorities are. And really, in the sign of Sagittarius and the energy of Sagittarius, it says that if you have yourself, you have everything. It is that optimistic. And this Mercury retrograde season is going to help all of us to remember how valuable it truly is to have ourselves, but also to have each other around the world. Now, I saved the best for last. That really isn't all. There's one more thing, just one more thing, right? It's channeling Steve Jobs here. One more thing. Venus. Venus going direct. What? Venus is going direct this week. Now, this is happening right around the 16th of the month. So this is about Friday, give or take a day on either side, depending on where you are on the planet. You know that spiel. This is so exciting with Venus slowing down to a standstill over the course of the week in its home sign of Libra. And then on Friday, moving forward slowly at first, but she will gain momentum. Now, this is where Venus is especially close to the Earth. This is where her energies are especially heightened at this time. So please do pay attention because this is going to be a time when love is going to be very much in the air, and that power that love has to heal old wounds, to see ourselves differently, and to understand that the future truly can be one that is more loving. Well, that power of love is going to be especially strong as we move later into the week. Now, that could be romantic love for some of you. It could be a more universal love as well. But look, this is in the sign of Libra, and the sign of Libra likes those one-on-one interactions. It likes connecting with people and sharing ideas. And chances are there's going to be a real spirit of sharing in the air. So do welcome those moments to connect with others on a one-on-one basis and allow those connections to reach a level of heart within you. Think back to what was happening in your life right around September 4. That was when Venus was where she is going to be this week. And in some way, events that transpire now will connect to what took place in early September. So for some people, it may be that someone that you might have interacted with at that time pops up right about now. But I do think that for a lot of people out there, this is going to be a light bulb moment. It's almost as if you have that moment where you maybe didn't want to see something that was there all along, or you didn't want to ask about something because you thought maybe the answer could be something that I don't want to hear. Well, this is where the truth becomes obvious in a split second, and it changes our perception. Now, this truth can reach into different areas of life. It is Venus though, so chances are it's going to be connected in some way to what we love or what we value, or where it is that we believe we are going to find a true sense of prosperity within us or within our world. But ultimately, there is going to be that moment, and things are going to look very different, and especially over the course of this Venus retrograde season, which has sometimes been a little bit challenging and a little bit difficult, or a lot difficult for some people. Well, this is going to be a very welcome energy indeed, as we start to feel that clarity. We're no longer just moving forward and thinking that we're so caught up in a moment, but rather we're able to appreciate the reality of a given situation and love it nonetheless for what it is. Now, I'm not saying that means you're going to ride off into the sunset with somebody, unless that's what you want and unless that is how it comes together for you. And I'm not saying it's going to be bad news either. It might be something that you find charming or delightful or just amusing even. Maybe related to love, might not be related to love, but your Venus retrograde season so far will give you some powerful clues, and of course your sign as well. This Venus retrograde season has been speaking very strongly, especially this month, to air signs in particular. There are those of you out there who may have found this particular month a little bit challenging. That was especially true for the cardinal signs at that. Now, I did touch on this in the monthly horoscopes for the month of November, so please do have another look at those where I touch on them. And of course, this could be a really good time to watch or rewatch the Venus retrograde season special horoscope that is also on YouTube as well. And the reason is because the main turning points and the main themes that are going to arise, well, this is one of the big ones. This is an important moment that is going to take place. Going forward from here, it is going to be, as we start December, that the final culminations will begin, and the final sense of the answers that you needed and feeling like they've come together for you in a powerful way, and feeling like you now are ready to move forward into your future, having had all the answers. Well, that is going to come as we move into December, and really a fine way to culminate with the new year. But the other good thing is, now that Venus is going to be going direct, Mars is still retrograde, so again, not necessarily the best time for large purchases, but with Venus at least going forward, you can start to splurge a little bit more on things that have to do with beautifying yourself, all kinds of Venusian things, feeling your very best self. Now, I can advise that, right? But chances are, and for a whole lot of people out there, I've observed this, I've seen it, I've lived it. With Venus retrograde season, we know that we might change our mind. We know that, maybe I don't really want this, but we get it anyways, right? There's this sense of abundance and this sense of generosity that fills the air. And so you might as well enjoy it. If that's been you, if that's been your Venus retrograde season, then this will be a moment that has a certain stability to it as you move forward and realize what it is that you really want and what it is that you really value, and that so much of it you already have and you can celebrate right now. What I love about this week for us is that we're kind of packing in like 2 months of astrological strength into 1 week. And I didn't even talk about asteroids changing signs or the lovely connection between the Sun and Pluto that will start the week, that speaks to transformation and an empowering stance as we enter this time. And that's because there's big energies at play. And these big energies are going to guarantee that all of us, if you haven't felt it already from last week, it is going to be this week that you truly start to feel that things have changed. And the exciting thing is, with all the things are changing, it's really changing that much for the better. It's changing in a direction of greater clarity, of greater purpose, of greater spirituality, of greater spirit, of greater karma, and greater love. That is a great superpower that is available to us now. We are able to see and interact with each other with greater love than we've known before. Let this love be your guide, and let this love also be showered on you as well. We are learning in many ways. We are here to learn about love. That is another one of the great human experiences that we are here to grow through and understand as we move through our lives. It is going to be this week that is a powerful time that is going to take us in many ways leaps forward in those moments of clarity where we realize where we are in our journey towards greater love and greater wisdom as well. And that in turn will ensure that we stay steadfast, moving forward and continuing to amplify the love and wisdom within us all. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? What are you excited about? And how did last week go for you? Have you felt the shift? Have you felt the changes? I am so excited to read you guys. So please do leave comments below. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. It really does mean so much. But yeah, I do love reading you guys. It's so much fun. If you want to find out what all this wonderful stuff this week means for you and your sign, you can log on to nadiyashah.com. Sign up to be one of my superstars. Superstars get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. And it is a very big week for another reason. Giveaways. I got some giveaways happening. Now, I sold out of these necklaces last week, these pendants rather, because it was just the pendant. And thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who reached out with enthusiasm. I'm sorry we did sell out. And I'll do something different for next year, but I will have an offering next year as well. I love that you guys love this. It means so much to me that the universe is wise and loving is an affirmation that has resonated so strongly with so many people. And so those are going to be mailed out early this coming week. But the contest, well, not contest, it's a raffle to win one pendant randomly or to win a copy of my book, Astrology Realized. Well, I'll be giving away one of each. I made sure to save at least one pendant. And so that is going to be going out early this week as well. So you can enter that raffle copter right until Monday. Now, just in time for Venus going direct, Sally Francis reached out to me with her book, Remember Who You Are, Love Unlimited. And I just felt so grateful for her trust. And she has generously offered to give one of her books away to one of my friends and fans and superstars out there. So there is one copy available of her book as part of its own raffle copter as well. So you can find the links to my giveaway, to Sally's giveaway in the links below. And of course, do check out Sally's book as well. Remember Who You Are, Love Unlimited. I do have events coming up that I'm so excited about. I will be starting the new year and really the days right around my birthday, doing all kinds of fun things, including doing talks. On January 29th, I will be in Las Vegas. And on February 2nd, I will be speaking in Mexico as well as part of a magical, life-changing retreat. This retreat looks incredible. It is being organized by the renowned esoteric astrologer, Maurice Fernandez. And he really is setting up this whole transformative experience that is filled with ceremony and reminders of how astrology connects to spirituality. And I'm so grateful to be a special guest, to be some small part of this huge event. So I'm looking forward to meeting friends and fans, and I'm looking forward to being out there with my people in Mexico. You know, I live in Mexico. I live just a couple hours away from where the big retreat is taking place. So it really is such a privilege. It's going to be my very first Mexico-oriented event, and I'm just really excited to be able to share my love for the land that I will be going back to in a matter of days. And look, I love Canada as well. I talked about this in a Jupiter special. I love Canada so much. I was born here. I was raised here. But it's cold right about now. It is getting cold, and I almost forgot what this is like. So it's a bit of a surprise, but that's okay. I'm still having fun, so it's all good. You can learn more about my 2019 events coming up. There's a whole lot of them that are coming up for you by logging on to my website and visiting the events page there. So yes, Las Vegas in January, beginning of February, Mexico. In May, I will be in Seattle and Vancouver. And there's other stuff too. Labor Day weekend, I'll be in Baltimore as well. So really excited, and more things, more dates being added all the time. I love meeting friends and fans in person. It's just so exciting. It's so much fun. In Las Vegas and in Mexico, I will have a small number of books available for sale. So if you're interested, I will have them on hand. I will have them handy. And anytime somebody comes to my talk, I have a gift. I like to give little gifts. And so there will be gifts as well. So I'm looking forward to that. And hugs. There will be hugs. Well, thank you. I think I covered all my announcements for now. I think after I leave, I will realize that I had forgotten something. Thank you for all your love. Thank you for all your enthusiasm and your just endless spiritual reminders to me, and for being a part of my spiritual growth. I truly am so very grateful for it. And I'm grateful for this moment with you. Did I mention Jupiter specials? I think I did. There are 2 of them right now on YouTube. I talked for a long time about Jupiter on YouTube. So please do check that out. The Jupiter specials are available in the Superstar space, or they're available for individual purchase at $2.99. And thank you so much to the people who have been supporting those videos. It really does mean so much to me. So thank you for your trust in my interpretation of the sky. Thank you for this moment with you. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.